Okay, we got her on the lift now. I am going to change the springs. I started on the rear one. Of course, luckily it came out in two pieces because they had cut it to lower it. And we got lucky at one bolt didn't break, but the upper one broke, which is no big deal. The other one, lower, wants to break. What happens is they rust up in there, and the rust, I mean, it just around the bolt, and it ends up looking like that. And yeah, you like my got my my Jesus sandals on today. Yes, don't mind me. I'm living comfortably. So I'm going to do the other one and then pop these shocks off. I can't pop the shocks off with the springs out, or else the whole rear will go swinging down, and the whole thing will be just, and I'll probably get hurt. So yeah, we're moving right along here. Even I just hung the front shocks for now. I do the lowers because I got to pop the old springs out and drop the control arms. Even put the color codes back on it where it was. I like doing little dumb things like that, don't mind me. But here are the new rear springs, just a standard height. Yeah, and that's how they put them back in the box. So I'll be fighting with them for a few minutes. All right, back to work. Okay, well, I'm waiting for some paint to dry on those spring retainers, so I'm going to go wire wheel that bolt and put some never sees in it. Meanwhile, lots of rust. Okay, here we are. One spring in. We ran into a little snafu on the other side. I don't know where that part went. Well, I ended up busting a bolt off, and I can't seem to find it, first of all. Interesting. Yeah, still searching. Oh my god, don't get old, whatever you do. Just don't get old. I'm still searching for that plate with the broken bolt in it. Oh well, but anyway, here's all the parts. Tomorrow is another day. Got 2 new rear shocks, all new wheel cylinders, hardware kits, and shoes from Rock Auto. We'll get everything done on this tomorrow. Maybe. Well, I have a Model A coming in I have to get running. I have to put a distributor in a Model A. But anyway, I'm going to try to drop these control arms out. It's a little tough putting springs in something that does not have an engine and weight on it. So I may just wait to do that. I've done this before, and boy, did I fight. With a compressor, I could do it, but those things are dangerous. So, alright, well, I think I'm going to go get some dinner and relax for a while. My ankles bother me today. I've been on it all day, priming and painting and assembling. So, all right, until tomorrow. Good night. Good morning. Good Sunday morning to you. Here we are today working on a couple of things in the shop. We're working on the 64. Whew. Getting warm out here already. We're doing some shocks today. We're gonna get the one spring in. I gotta get the broken bolt out of it. We had a couple of things going on, a couple of issues. I already started this morning. I was up early, 6:30, outside by 7-ish, 7:30. Let's try to take advantage of the nice, cool, quiet morning. Out here it's beautiful. It's gonna be a warm one. So today we're going to, in fact, right now, I'm working on putting the brakes on. I have it apart already. So we got a wheel cylinder in. I just wire brushed the backing plate. I got a shock off and one in, but I got to compress this. I can't get the bottom hooked up because of the weight. You need weight on this thing because I can't. It's a hole off. So here we are with drum brakes. Some people say bah humbug, drum brakes. You know what? I love drum brakes. I love doing drum brake jobs. It's just simple. Once you understand it's simple where the springs go, if you do one side at a time, so if you mess one up, you can always go to the other side and look at that if you don't have a book or the internet. Books. Who uses books anymore? I do, actually. If the internet's down, then what do you do? There's plenty of books over there. All my old books. So anyway, what we do is after you clean it up, usually I put a little dab of, they may have a lubricant, or I use a little grease. I put on the pivot points. I put one here. All these little, there's little flats right here. Right, you put a little dab of grease, just coat that all these. What that does is shoe, when it rides on this, let me get one here for an example. The shoe rides on this. It'll have the tendency to squeak as it moves around. I can't really put up there with one hand, but it'll squeak on that, and yeah, it'll drive you nuts. So we're gonna put this together, and there is a difference on the front and rear shoe. Short shoe always goes to the front. Big shoe go to the back. It's a primary, secondary. It works as a wedge. It kind of, when you hit the brakes and they go out, they do a wedge effect. A wedge effect. So what they do, they go out, but they wedge inside the drum, which gives you your gripping point. Also, it's proportioned, size of the line, and how it's run. Some, not so much. I think they use more the wheel cylinder size and the brake line size back then with the single pot master cylinder. I don't know, but it usually gives you more front brake than rear brake. That's why you usually use front brakes up. But drum brakes, I've seen them wear more evenly. I don't know. I love drum brakes. I love them. You know what? People complain about them, or they don't want to do the maintenance, keeping them adjusted. You know what? Fine if you like your disc brakes for the lazy people, that's fine. Yeah, they do work better, but hey, I've seen a guy go well in the 8s on the 4-wheel drum brakes in a 55 Chevy and stop it. Well, he used the chute too, but we're not going 8s. But I even telling, I've had a couple times where they did get hot with no trailer brakes with a car on the back. Yeah, that was a little sketchy, but for just normal driving, they're fine. If you're gonna ride the brake pedal all the time and make them cherry red, then that's on you. You can do that with anything, even disc brakes. They are better, but I like my drum brakes. So okay, I'm gonna start putting this together, and I'll stop doing that, and we can get to work. Okay, so we're gonna give you if this comes out good, I don't know. I already hung this on the emergency brake arm. So what I'm gonna do is we're gonna put the spreader bar and this in here. You can always put this later, but it's a little easier to compress this now, this wheel cylinder, with the rod, and then put your anchor pin through the back. Now they're going to give you the base, goes in here, that holds the anchor pin. It's a little tricky, just comes with time. You got measure up your springs. They give you 2 different springs. I use the shorter ones. Now this is where it gets a little, oh wait a minute here. Oh, I guess I can't use those. Alright, then it does come with a different type instead of the cup style. I guess there's 2 different types of springs, because we will have it, you usually do have extra parts left over. This tool right here is what compresses them. This is my, oops. And there's Butterfingers, me. But yeah, this is my father's old tool from way back when I was a kid. He used to teach me how to do brakes. So what you're gonna do is line up that slot, push that, and turn it 90 degrees. And you'll see it'll go through the slot. Just make sure it's anchored. And there you go. Here, and I'll show you. So basically, turn that 90 degrees and it locks it in there. And then you push your push rod in here, and there is a spreader bar that goes in here. This will pop every once in a while. You'll have to readjust it as you go, as you put it together. It'll give you a little bit of trouble, but don't get frustrated. They're easier than you think. So, all right, let's try to do the other side. So we're not using that one, and this also took the short anchor pins. So let me put this back up there. This is a nice piece here because it holds them from falling. It's probably what it was intended for. Yellow spring, and where is? Oh, here it is. Where I left it. I guess you would call these a hat or an anchor nut. I don't know what you call them. Let's call them a hat. Same thing. you gotta hold it from the back to keep from pushing through, but there, turn and turn 90 and then double check your work. All right, so now we're gonna try to get these crossbar and the crossbar and these two wheel cylinder pistons, or I don't know what you want to call them, back in the slots. You want to get all this before you go putting springs together, because when you start putting springs in this thing, it's going to pull everything tight. Sometimes you got to take the rubber plug out of there or loosen the bleeder to get these to compress and stay. It's going to fight you like that. Like I say, don't get frustrated. If you get real frustrated, walk away. Come back later. Alright, so it's not really going to stay until I get a spring. So you do in your kit, you're going to match up these springs. They're going to give you a bunch of different types because these things fit a lot of different vehicles. So it goes in here. I don't know how good you're going to be able to see this. It's kind of a fish hook. You go in there and back. Actually, I'm going to do the other one first because I remember the other one coming off first or last. I don't think it matters, but when you take it apart, you should try to keep everything where you found it and lay it out on the floor or on a cart or something. Makes life a little easier. Now you'll take this end. What you're going to do is put it through the spring, and you're going to hook it to this anchor point. This is our pivot / anchor point, but watch your eyes. Should wear glasses. Do as I say, not as I do. And you're going to... sometimes it takes a couple tries. Just watch your fingers. And there you go. It goes right away that anchor pin. It's a little intimidating doing this a couple times. You get the hang of it. Maybe even see somebody who's done this before. You know, give you a little hand. Now this one's the same way. Now you don't want to go too high up on here. You want to try to slide it down. Don't worry about things getting all jacked up in there. And then just kind of, they don't always work. They don't always cooperate either. It's just the way it is. I still like doing this. This is more a challenge. There we go. Perfect. Bars in there. These need to be adjusted a little bit. Now, short shoe in the front, big shoe in the back. Okay. So we're wire wheeled and cleaned up. Now what I'm going to do is take this apart. I have some Never Seas around here and a spray. Just don't go too crazy with this stuff. Don't get it all over because it will end up in the brakes. Just give a little, even if you have the brush on type, a little squirt, whatever. And just run that down. You could use a little light oil. Use a little something with high temperature. It's going to hang around. I would use that. I'd run that all the way in. Also, there's another end on this thing. Oh, lovely. Just a little splotch on that. That on there and that. So what's going to happen? You're going to turn this wheel. This is going to go in and well. This is the only thing that turns, and these are going to become stationary. All right. So next is, let me bring you down here. Show you. All right, so that has to go in there with the slots like that. Run these all the way together. Now you have to spread these, watching your fingers, and get that locked in there. And this one, the adjustment's done through the front of the drum. If there hasn't been, there should be a knockout on that, and I believe there is, to adjust it. Some you adjust from the back side of the backing plate, but not all of them because they don't give you the room. And then some adjust through the drum. The only way about the drum adjustment one is A, the wheel's not on it, and B, the drum is not tight. You know, simulating, you know, being square. But it does work. It's just a pain to adjust because then you got to take the wheel off. So sometimes, I don't know if you could see that or not. Nope. Huh. Okay. So sometimes installing a big screwdriver / pry bar up behind the axle and pry this together, you can get this back in here. Like I say, again, watching your fingers and your eyeballs. It doesn't always work. Sometimes you got to choose a thinner screwdriver. Ow! Almost had it. Almost had it. You know what? I think I might try it from the other side instead. Maybe it's locked in here now. Alright. Let's try again. Come on. Huh. Okay. It ain't working like I should. It should. Okay. Oh, we'll get this. Okay, we got it. It's in there. This spring actually clears this star wheel. Star wheel, that's the word I'm looking for. A lot of times I'll just click the brakes, just pull on, make sure your brakes are not over top of those little pads I told you to oil. Everything's good here. This closed up. Looking good now. The best part is, if we can get the drum to go on, we'll know we're centered. I don't know if I could do this holding the camera. We will try. There we go. Let's see here where he is. Look at that. Brand new brakes, wheel cylinders, hardware kits. Ain't that beautiful? Okay, we're back. We're gonna do the front brakes. We already got the backs done. I got the springs in. I don't have the shocks on. The lowers won't line up. Like I said, without some weight on the back. Did a little touch up. All the wheel cylinders all together. Moving on up here, we're gonna pull these wheels off and pull the hubs. See what's up with the brakes in this. I'm gonna replace everything. Wheel cylinders, hardware kit, shoes. Hopefully we don't need any other parts, drums or bearings. But yeah, got a power steering on. Find a couple spots I had to touch up. It was looking pretty good. Ooh. Okay, let's get this dust cap, bearing dust cap off. Use a pair of channel locks here, good for that. Diagonal cutters for the cotter pin. Wow, this one's really mangled. I like how people put cotter pins in. I don't understand why they use dynamite to bend them over. I don't get it. Oh man. It's amazing how people do work sometimes. Sometimes, oh, it's a little tight. So you back your, that was a little on the tight side. You're supposed to seat the bearings, spin it, back it off a quarter turn. Obviously, I think they just kept on going. Ooh. This axle's a little boogered up. You gotta be careful doing this because you could cut your fingers on there very easily. So what I prefer is a big old fits-all. Little fits-all, metric fits-all on there. Actually, no, this is standard. It's old. So it's be standard. Okay. Let's see how. Now, when you pull these off, you might want to catch your bearings because sometimes they want to shoot out at the end of it. Sometimes you can finagle them out. Well, there's the thrust washer. Put that in the dust cap. Sometimes you can use your fingers or a pick. They're not too bad. We'll wash them out and inspect them real good. I may have to back the brakes off of this. I don't know because it feels like there's a little ridge on this thing. Now what I'm going to do is try to back off these brakes. Now, I don't know if I'm going the right direction or not. I think that might be the right direction. I can see the star wheel through this, so I think I backed it off enough. Yep, I did. Alright. And brake shoes are low, drums a little bit. And I might need the inner seal. Alright. A little more simpler on these. Not as much emergency brake cables and ends and actuators and stuff, so they're pretty clean. But yeah, that's the wheel I was backing this off. I was making these brakes come down so you can get past the ridge or the worn spot on the drum. So pretty much the same deal as before. Same tools. A little more room to work with. Hardware looks fairly new on this. Well, still got color paint, but we bought new stuff anyway. So, and that's off. And now you do your shoe anchors, and sometimes they do not like to cooperate due to the amount of rust. Wow. There we go. One. Settle this off to the side so we have something to go by as we put it back together. Okay. There it goes. This one here. That went there, that went there, that went there. But the springs are just the same. Be sure to clean up the threads and oil these adjusters up so they don't have an issue down the line if you have to adjust them. Nothing like having to take it all back apart again. Take our anchor pins out. Put new ones in. And unbolt the wheel cylinder. Actually, this is a little different. So this takes a big nut. You have to get a socket and bend these. You have to take this off, bend these tabs back, put a socket on it. It's actually threaded into the spindle, and then that's how it holds these on. Plus, you have to undo the brake lines. So start getting these apart. Whoop. Okay, after bending the tab back on the anchor bolt, this thing's a little beat up. Looks like the corner's missing. I don't know how good this is. It's not an 1 1/8. 1 1/16 don't fit. And this thing isn't exactly round anymore, so I don't know what I'm going to do here. It has to be a deep socket, it looks like. Here's 1 1/16 that won't go. I think somebody's chiseled, the way it looks, somebody chiseled that on there. So I may have to do the same. If you look close, they chiseled this on here. They couldn't find a socket, and it distorted it, and 1 1/8 doesn't fit. All right, well, maybe I'll try metric and find the elusive socket. Okay, here we are back at this brake job again. As you can see, I got this anchor bolt undone. Obviously, somebody did a number on this thing. Chisels. And of course, if you put never sees on it, it might have come out again. But that's what holds the front wheel cylinder on. There's no bolts in the back, it's just held to the spindle. You knock it with a hammer. You gotta take the brake line off first. Yeah, wouldn't that be funny? And I think what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna fudge it. I'm gonna twist this loose, knock this, and just spin the whole thing off. I've done that before without having to undo this whole rigmarole, and it is what it is. I'll clean this backing plate up, get that grease off, and we will get this thing back together. Hopefully the other side doesn't give us trouble. I also have to find seals for that and pack the bearings. So let's go. Okay, we got our new wheel cylinders. We got this broke free here. Hopefully we don't make a brake fluid mess, but I'm sure it is. I think these are the only wheel cylinders that are actually working. Yep, there comes the brake fluid. No, usually they didn't give me one. They should give you a copper washer with this, and you should replace the copper washer. I'm gonna take my chances. I'm usually pretty good with them. I've reused them before. Never had an issue, so we shall see. It doesn't mean it's not hard to change. Take the line off. I'll have to take it off for sure. The fun part is trying to get this back in here. Uh-oh. Are you kidding me? Are these wrong? I hope they're not. If they are, keep that to the side. Oh, there they go. Woo! Alright, now I'm going to put a little never sees on this anchoring pin wherever my never sees went. So the next guy don't have to fight with this thing. While I'm at it. Oh wow, really? While I'm at it. And the phone is starting already this morning. It's about 10 o'clock and it's already starting. I'm going to put a little bit of grease on that anchoring where they slide, keep from squeaking. And then there we go. And I'm going to spray this. You'll never see, because it's got a locking tab on it, so yeah, it's a little mangled, but I got it to the point where I can get a socket on it and tighten it up, but yeah. You gotta put your locking tab at the top, because you have to bend it over a flat on the nut, on the anchoring pin. Come on. Just doing this with a rag so I don't cut my finger. I think I got enough holes in me this week. Don't get old, guys. Don't get old. This thing's all mangled. Alright, so brakes, anchoring pins, wheel cylinders in, that's torqued down, cleaned off the axle stub, and now we will, if I can hold on to anything today, I think I got off, I think I woke up with a bunch of thumbs this morning because I can't hold on to nothing. What a mess. Actually, you know what? I'm going to do the front one first. It's just a preference. I don't think it matters. But kind of the upside down one that came off first. Then make sure your anchoring pin's down. Bingo! Bazinga! So they say. Top one. Bottom one. I just snap them and they'll seat. Snap them. My old shop teacher, Mr. Stover, told me that. Trying to center them, get them to seat on the pins, and they're sitting on their little rubby spots. There ain't much to this, so we'll just do. I gotta go clean up the star wheel adjuster and put the spring in there, and that's pretty much it. So. Okay, new seal, repack bearings, put a little lube on the stub, slide it on like that, so it gets a little messy. Let's see, could use a little extra grease in that hub from the packer. Here we go. A little bit extra bearing grease for the hub. Slide her in there. You don't have to pack the whole inside of that hub like I've seen people do before. It just makes no sense. It just makes no sense. It just, you're carrying around a bunch of extra grease that ain't doing nothing. It isn't like motor oil. It doesn't flow around inside that hub. You only have to do the ends. Pack the bearings, coat the races, knock the seal in, and now you put your washer on. Brush washer, you gotta find your groove. Gotta get my groove. My groove. Get a nut. I always grease on my fingers. Alright. This on here, and yes, that is 40s music in the background. I listen to everything, and when I'm kind of vegetating and working on stuff like this, I'll listen to that. Now, what you do is turn it, spin it. You want to seat the bearings, and just snug the nut and spin it. Just snug it, and then back it off. about one flat. Usually I do one flat or a quarter turn. Whatever is convenient to get that nut to line up with the cotter pin hole. Now you put your cotter pin in, you'll find the hole somewhere around here. Go sideways. There's grease on there, it is. Take your one in, put it all the way in there inside the nut, and then what I do is bend them back. Cut half that off that you bent back, and the other half, cut it below the cap, or else it'll eat the inside of the cap up. It'll be scraping around, but you're good there. All I can do is adjust it. Don't hear any drag on it. I'll probably put new caps on it later because those are bent up. I don't like them. That drives me nuts. Sort of cuttings away. We're good. All right, we're gonna try to swing this in. I don't know how this is gonna go in one-handed. It's usually not, it doesn't turn out too well, but of course I'm swinging into everything in the way. All right, I need to move some stuff around here. So we'll swing this thing in here like so without hopefully destroying paint. I don't know. Yeah, we're getting closer. Need to go in a little farther. I need one of those camera assistants, you know, or actually everybody to do the work for me and then narrate over top of it. It'll actually be a little easier. I'm trying to do this myself. But no, I enjoy doing this, even if it makes it a challenge. It's all for the YouTube community. All right, we're getting close. We just got to play this game. It looks like I'm going to have to do a battery change because I see red in my future. Okay. Guess we can come down a little bit at least and get it close without trashing paint. Right there should be good. Yeah, it's down a little far, I think. Problem is we got this thing. It's like a jack. Oh, what do you call it? A jack with zip ties. Remember the old zip tie thing where the jack doesn't roll over a zip tie? Well, that's pretty much this stinking thing too. All right, we're gonna come down a little bit here. Bring her in. She keeps twisting. Kind of hard to do this and hold the camera, so I gotta kind of compensate. I'm gonna compensate, yes. Ah. Oh, there we go. All right. Because I want to get the placement of these motor stands, I call them. I already see some dings in the paint, but it's all right. It's still fresh. I can touch it up. The brake trans mount, they had hokied up here with a washer and a piece of steel with one bolt going through it. No, it doesn't fly with me, so we'll get it straight, we'll get it good, and then we'll set the cab on, mock it up, and go from there. I think she's looking good. Maybe I'll throw a set of mock set of heads on it, intake and a set of valve covers. See what it looks like. Should be all right though. I shouldn't have to go through all that. We'll do all the linkage and stuff, so. Not bad. Wow, that looks damn good. I'm gonna get the bolts up through the bottom of here, get them lined up, because once those both sides are in, that'll center everything, and I'll be able to make that rear transmission tab to line up with that mount. And I'll put the drive shaft in to make sure we're not hitting anything on that cross member. Shouldn't be, but I want to make sure I get the pitch on this thing right. The reason I got the drum off on the other side, I have to get an inner oil seal tomorrow, or grease seal for that drum. So I had one in stock, but the other one I didn't have, in a national seal. So I have somebody looking now, but we don't have a cross reference, so no big deal. Tomorrow's another day. Welcome back, and got some more stuff at accomplished tonight on the Project 64. We did a little bit of mock-up on the engine, headers, power steering, block's empty, transmission's, you know, the right one and what I'm going to use. It's a 283 block, 283 heads. Basically everything that's going to go in the truck is getting bolted on. Make sure everything clears. There is a little header clearance problem. I also have the rear brake lines are done now. I got an inner axle seal ordered today. I forgot to go there and I stood there and yeah, I kind of missed it. So I didn't write it down. I should have, but anyway, made some progress today, just mock-up stuff. Need to sit down and make a list of more stuff I'm going to need until the point where I run out of things to do to this. Then it becomes, okay, let's work on the cab, or let's work on the bed, or the front end. I think it's going to end up being the body next. Shove this outside, bring the cab in on the forks, maybe pull the doors off, I'm going to pull the seat out, I got to fix the floors, pull the interior out. I won't pull the dash out or nothing, the wiring, I'll leave that alone, but I'm going to fix the floors. Might have to do rockers in it. Yeah, that's a lot of work right there. Cutting, welding, seam sealer, painting. Still ain't figured out what color I'm going to paint the old girl yet. I was going to originally go black and white, but I don't know. I've already had a red and white one, so I got a red and white F100 in the shop, and I wouldn't mind doing turquoise and white, even though I have a turquoise and white 56. If I can get somebody to spray some metal flake, I think that'd be cool. But my boy who has that gun, he's ready to move to North Carolina. He's gonna become a Southern boy pretty soon. But he got smart and got out of Jersey. So anyway, enough of that. This is what we got. Let me take you for a little tour around what I got done. All right, so we got all the brackets for the power steering. I don't have a crankshaft in it, but there is the pulley, but I need the outer power steering pulley. It's like a dish. I had one. I don't know what I do with it. I think it went on my other truck. It went down the road, but well, anyway, here's the headers. They kind of got to clearance this. This is actually the Z-bar for a stick, but they utilized it as the column shifter linkage, which was very ingenious. So I'm going to try to incorporate that in there. Let me see if I can get a better view. And it comes down off the column and then it goes back to here. I have everything in there to go do that. So let's see what happens, but there is a little clearance issue there. I think it might actually come off once I build this piece of angle right here and bring that trans up just a little bit, because that's not, this is where it's going to be, but this doesn't line up there. So here, let me do the frog crawl out of here, whatever you want to call it. There's all my brake lines. It's a copper nickel brake lines, real nice, easy to bend stuff. That's all done. I didn't bleed anything yet because, you know, I don't have a master and all that. But I'm kind of digging the outside the frame headers. I don't know. What do you guys think? It's only 2.5 inch. It's a little 283. It doesn't have a big cam. It's basically a stock cam. I'm going to use probably that cast iron. I think it's a 304 horse Holley style intake manifold. So we'll come down here with the pipes underneath the truck. I'm going to try to tuck them, put a muffler in here maybe, or a glass pack, and come down here and dump it out the side. Same thing with the other. I did that with my other truck, but it was on the inside and it came back and it shot out this side, which it didn't have this in the way, but they come out the side and it was 3-inch with Flowmasters, and boy did that thing bark. Whew. So we'll see what we can fit underneath here, and I gotta watch because of the heat and stuff. So we're getting there. We're getting there. I'm gonna find little touch-up spots every here and there, you know, what you miss with the gun, but you'll find that. I think I've pretty much caught what I need to catch. I'm sure I'll find more.